Hi everyone. Drafting a resume is something that we will often have to complete in our lifetime, and it can often be a really confusing task. It can be difficult to know how to assemble a resume to showcase your unique skills and experiences. So today we will break down a resume into manageable sections. My name is Maria Hamill, and I am the online learning specialist here at the TRIO Student Support Services, and I'll be giving today's presentation about resume building. So today we're going to go over resume building basics along with some resources to help you additionally with some resume building. Okay, so HR professionals or recruiters spend often only 10 to 30 seconds looking at each resume. So we want to make sure that yours stands out from the rest. We're going to go through a basic resume format. However, I want to mention that there is no wrong way to draft a resume. This tutorial is just a good place to start, and it'll give you basics on how to build a resume, and then from there you can make it your own, add your own flair, etc. But again, these are just some basic information that HR professionals want to see and learn more about you through a resume. So first up, there is the first name, address, and contact information, the objective and summary of qualifications, your employment history, including locations, dates of employment, summary of position and accomplishments, your education and training, and some other relevant details. So that was great and all, but I want to see a visual of what that looks like of each of those sections. So we're going to use this resume as a template to show where that information that we just discussed is in the resume format is located. This format is not the end-all be-all, like I said before. However, these 4 sections that we're going to be discussing today are encouraged to include in your resume. So the contact information is often located at the very top of a resume. This includes your name, address, email, and phone number. I want to mention that in this example, they did put the full address, so the street, city, and state. I don't think that's necessary. I think that just the city and the state would be appropriate to include in your resume. Including the street address seems a little personal to me, and I've seen some other examples where the city and state are just fine to include. However, we do want to include our email and phone number, so when we advance onto the interview, the resume individual or the HR professional can contact us to let us know that we have advanced. Next section is the objective and summary of qualifications. In this example, they are sectioned down to 2 separate sections. You can choose one or the other. You can use a career objective and summary of qualifications, whatever feels appropriate to you. But we're going to break it down as if they're 2 separate sections here today, just to give you an example. So the objective is a few sentences of the job you are looking for and a summary of what makes you qualified. So this is just like a catch for the HR professional within a few sentences to summarize your entirety of your resume. The summary of qualifications is also along the same lines as the objective, but it's 3 to 6 lines highlighting your experiences, qualifications, and skills. Again, it's kind of like a catch point to summarize the entirety of the resume. Next up is the employment history, so including our current or previous position title and company, date ranges that we have worked there, and a few lines about the position and your accomplishments within that position. So in this example, they have the title of their position, senior buyer, and then they have included the name of the company. In this example, they used the location, so the city and state. You can do that if you'd like. And then they have included the date ranges they worked there. So they worked there from 2011 to present. So if you are still in that position, we want to put present, or if you have concluded that position, you're going to want to put the year that you've concluded there. They then went on to include some lines about the position itself and their accomplishments while at that position and that company. Lastly, we want to include our education and training. So whether that's a bachelor's degree, master's, certification, associates, we want to make sure that we put that in here, including the date that we are expected to complete the certification or the degree, or if you did complete it, make sure that you're putting the completion date with a month and a year would be great. Feel free to pause this video if you're following along on the Student Success Services module. We will be advancing to the next slide. Now we're going to go over some resume tips, just the resume tips for the entirety of a resume, just some things that we want to include and we don't want to forget to either do them or include in a resume. So first up is the length of a resume is recommended to be only 1 to 2 pages. Like I mentioned before, HR professionals only take about 10 to 30 seconds to look at a resume, so we want to make sure that we're keeping it simple and very consistent throughout. The next tip is something that you might not think about. It's definitely something that I didn't think about when working on resumes in the past, is how to save a resume correctly on your desktop or saving it to some platform or something. Oftentimes when it's just you're the only one drafting a resume, you're going to want to save it to your computer as maybe resume 2024. However, when a HR professional is taking a look at multiple different resumes all throughout the day, everyone might be putting their resume title as resume 2024, and then it can get confusing of whose is whose. And so just to keep it consistent and help out an HR professional, and then maybe down the road get a position by keeping it consistent for them, is by putting your full name and then resume or resume 2024, whatever you feel comfortable doing, in the name of the document. That way, so if a HR professional is saving your document to their computer, let's say, to review for later, they can easily access your resume without having to sift through multiple different ones. Next tip is to keep your resume updated. So I don't know about you, but oftentimes if I'm going to draft a resume or someone's asking me like, what do you do for work? It's like, oh gosh, what do I do? So keeping it updated can be helpful so that when you do need to submit a resume, everything is up to date. It can be hard when you're going back to update a resume and you're trying to think of your accomplishments throughout maybe a year or a quarter, and it's hard to remember what you did. So if you do something that is worth mentioning in a resume, let's just go straight to a resume and update it while it's fresh to mind. I mentioned this earlier, but make sure that we're tailoring our resume to a job description and not copy pasting resumes to multiple different positions. With that being said, do not lie about your experience on a resume. That is something that you don't want to be caught in an interview in between someone asking about your experience and you didn't have it, but you lied about it on your resume. So don't lie about your experience or qualifications. Lastly, make sure you spell and grammar check. Very important. A resume is the first look that an HR professional has to you as a professional, and we want to keep it professional by making sure our spelling and grammar check is correct. So review your resume yourself multiple times, checking for spelling and grammar. Have a friend, family member, or a professional in your field take a look at your resume to review everything, and that can be really great to make sure that nothing is incorrect once we go to submit it for a job posting. Once again, feel free to pause this video if you're following along on the Student Success Services module. We'll be advancing to the next slide now. All right, so when it comes to resume, we went over the basics today. However, you might have some more questions or you want to have somebody look at your resume. Well, great news. GVSU Career Center has a really great program for resumes. Let's take a look at their website here. So, along with resume resources, they also have some other really great opportunities to review in the Career Center. I'm not going to go over those today, but once we go down to their resume and cover letter section, so they have some cool resources for other resume and cover letter guides, some resume samples for your specific career field. If you would like someone to review your resume, that's also an option to schedule something with the Career Center. And they also have some podcasts to take a look at that can be helpful. So, another opportunity to get some resume help. Thank you for taking time to review this resume module. If you have any questions or would like to talk to us more about our modules or this specific module, please feel free to reach out to us at our phone number, email, or our website. Thank you, and hope to see you at the next module.